I was like, what?
But I had the video, so I could at least show it.
Yeah. They showed it to me on YouTube, and I was like, oh my god.
You know, Greg, it's funny you mentioned Ricky, and Ricky's, you know, she's a buddy of mine too, and that reminds me of my most memorable Anime in Boston thing. I don't know, most of you look like adults, so if you're not, you're going to hear about this anyway. I do this adult show, which is tonight at 11:30, which most of you probably know about, which involves hentai, which is animated porn, and it's hilariously graphic, and we have a good time with it. And Mike, were you there this particular
The year that you got?
What's that?
The naked year?
Yeah. Were you here for that? Yeah, because like 1 year, and I had this girl, Ricky, was acting as my sidekick. She's really cute.
Yeah,
She is.
very pretty.
And I guess, I don't know, she was letting off some pheromones or something that day. And we'd done the show. I mean, this show had, I don't remember what, it's just 2005 or 6 or something like that. And been doing the show here every year, and it was getting real big and everything. I mean, it had always been pretty big. But 1 year, all these people decided just to get naked. Right, and it was kind of unexpected, because it wasn't something that we were trying to make them do. They just started doing it, and then one person did it, and then somebody else did it. And I remember being up at the front of the room as this is happening, and because a lot of it, we would do rooms. I mean, we do it in like some of the main events rooms, so they're immense. So that's why I like to have somebody with me. So I would send Ricky like out to the back of the room, so I wasn't always just picking people from the front. She'd go back there, and just dudes are running up to her, and they're like pulling stuff off. And I remember this one, and this was amazing. So it's like some sort of naked ninja. This girl was like, okay, so I'm like, okay, so here's the next scene, and I need somebody who's going to be the nurse. And I literally, this is what I do. I stand up, and I look across the room, right? And I look over here, and I see a girl standing on a chair, right? And this is exactly the timing of it. I'm like, okay, she's naked. She's like fully clothed, and I look over this way, and I look back, and she's completely naked. And I remember just being like...
See, and people think the troublemakers are at the rave. See, that's all wrong. They got it.
I know.
It's all wrong.
And I remember that happening, and then just sort of stopping and being like, I don't know you. And then Patrick Delahanty, anybody know who Patrick is? Patrick is like the giant who lives in this convention. And he was the con chair for years in the beginning. And, when we would do this event back then, all of these staff people would show up to hang out. And he's sitting up the front of the room, and I remember just going like, dude, I can't stop this. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. And him just being like, he's like, I didn't see anything. I'm pretty sure I'm not even here. I'm like, okay. And the thing is, everybody did totally behave themselves. They just did it without clothes on. But it's not like nothing stranger than that happened. But that was pretty strange. I have to say that one girl,
nudity happened.
Seriously, I was like, she's clothed. I look over here and back and gone. And yeah. So that is by far my most vivid memory.
Whoa, wait. Wasn't there a guy? A very good mover, as I remember. Very big guy. Tall, big, every way big. And he ended up, I believe, doing cartwheels, mostly naked.
Shit, yes. And I remember that, one of those, that was funny. Yeah, the cartwheel. I think, was that the same year? Might have been
It was escalation. It's like the nuclear standoff. U.S. gets some missiles, Russia gets some more missiles, then we got to get more missiles, and before you know it, you got naked cartwheeling dudes down the street.
Yeah, so that was...
in all the years of doing raves, I've never seen anyone get naked at a rave, so I feel privileged to be in the loud, roomy room now.
We have security watching for that.
Yeah.
Well, they started making announcements after that.
Because people started calling it the naked panel. People were like, oh, I'm going to go to Tom Wayland's naked panel. I'm like, what is that?
That's great. Well, it was funny, because, after that, they're like, well, you need to make an announcement. I'm like, no, you need to make an announcement. I was like, first of all, I wasn't asking for that, but I don't want to be the bad guy. So then, like, one of the security guys is like, no problem, I'll go up there. He's like, listen, you know, and like, so every year after that, they made announcements. And now people, and people get crazy and weird, which is great and fun, but people now do it with clothing on. So.
That's good.
You can never be the bad guy, Tom. You wear a Girl Scout shirt.
I do. That Girl Scout shirt is permanently stained with zombie blood now. I know. Come at 7 o'clock, I'll show the rest of my zombie movie tonight, where I'm wearing that shirt. But yeah, I don't know, Mike. What's a big memory for you besides making
stories?
One.
Secrets don't make friends.
Okay.
One.
I'm pretty sure this is. I haven't been an AB in a few years, so my stories are old. So back in the old days,
He rode his dinosaur here.
I believe it was an after dark sort of uncensored panel. There was someone I knew. There was a group of people that I knew who've been fans of various shows that I've done and I've known them over the years. And one of them just didn't have an ID. She's 26, 27, something like that. She's nowhere near teen anything, but didn't have her ID. And one of her mutual friends was like, Mr. Senator Nicholas, could you please vouch for a friend? She doesn't have her ID, but you know her. You've known her for like 6 years, and she's totally over 18. I was like, yeah, I totally know her. Let me see what I can do. So I talked to the security person checking the IDs, and I said, actually, I know this whole group, and this girl's 26, 27, but she's not even 21. I mean, she's definitely old enough, and I can vouch for her. He goes, well, all right, Mr. Senator Nicholas, you. And everyone's calling me Mister, is it?
Yeah.
I wasn't even wearing ties back then. But so they let her in, and she's very excited. She's also a huge Pokemon fan, right?
Oh.
And hey, come on, who up here isn't, right? I mean, so someone asks the very adult question: what two anime characters would you like to see engaged in coitus? Not quite how it was phrased.
But I was the one that said the thing that upset her.
So, in his own words, he said.
I said I would want to see, it was a Jigglypuff or Pikachu being, it was Pikachu being forcibly loved by Vegeta. I thought it was just a funny answer, and...
It was very funny.
But...
Apparently this poor mega Pokemon fan that I got into the panel, even though fate would have kept her at the door, got so visibly upset and ran out of the room.
She started crying. She goes, no, that would never happen. And she was running out of the room.
You know, Pikachu is a top, though, I gotta say.
No, it was serious. Like, we actually had to go in the hall and talk to her because she got really, some people don't think they're Pokemon, have a love life. Yeah. Oh, no. Let's not talk about that panel. That panel is, that's another con. It's 10 years of AB, not at the con.
Did anybody, there was a show that an adult thing that used to happen here on Friday nights a lot, and bitch is not here this year, but it's Amber, the hentai pirate. She's been my sidekick for the last few years. Just Amazon woman, who is my sidekick and like paddles people with things and whatever. But she would have her own panel called like What Why Hentai or something like that on Friday nights real late. And Amber is like this giant Amazon Dr. Ruth. I mean, none of you who are under 30 probably know who that is. But like
Dr. Ruth was like Dr. Drew, but German and from the 80s.
Yeah, I mean this little, but she knows a lot about sex and relationships and also like historical things with this. But she would talk about different fetish things and different stuff that shows up in Japanese programs, and we just sort of talk about the history of these things, this, that, and the other. And something came up, and it had to do with people who have certain masochistic fetishes who like to get hit or hurt or whatever, and something specific about people who like to get kicked in the balls.
Oh my God.
Now, there was anybody else at this thing? No, because you remember. Were you there? Because I gotta tell you, this, now that I think of it, this was way better than all the naked people in that thing, because like, this guy, because she's talking about it, and you see these guys like kind of look being dicks in the back, and she's like, what? And he's like, I don't know. Yeah, you kicked me in the balls. She's like, really? He's like, yeah. And she's like, well, I will if you want, if you consent to this. And the guy, and then suddenly he got called out, and he was sort of like, all right, you know. So, and he was, I don't know, he just seemed a little Jersey Shore to me or something, I don't know. But he goes up there, and she's like probably 5'10" without the 6-inch heels, and she's wearing like giant monster boots. And she's like, okay, stand there. And he stands there. And this was on YouTube. And I swear to God, it's worth it if you do nothing for the next 3 days but search for this clip. If you find it, it will be worth the time. And she lifted him off the ground by like 2 feet. Just bang! And it was just, I mean, it was like, there was just silence afterwards. She nailed him and just all the air just right out of the room for a minute because we were all like, oh! And then, you know, and then after that, just roaring laughter, and the guy was like, yeah! High-fiving his friends and like trying to be tough, and then just, you know, she started talking, and the next thing he was out the door in a hurry. That was